45 years ago, Adolf Hitler was leading the world into war. Franklin Roosevelt was in the White House. Atomic power was the stuff of science fiction, and Lyell Bremser was broadcasting Nebraska football games. Now, after 4 decades, though, and 10 Nebraska football coaches, Mr. Football is going to be calling it quits. And Dave Weber, who worked for Lyell at KFAB for 4 years, is here now with Rick Sullivan to talk about it. Surprised?
Lyell, I did not write that intro.
I didn't either, for that matter.
He's going to shoot you before he quits.
Just to remind him how long he's been doing it. Oh, goodness.
I tell you what, the years Lyell's been broadcasting, I don't think anyone has to remind him how many years it's been. It has been a career. I can remember back in the early 70s when I worked at KFAB Radio, absolute total concentration that Lyell would go into, almost seclusion a couple of months before the football season, and it was very difficult.
Study the lineups and everything?
Oh, absolutely. He would make his check cards and his flash cards out, and it was a religion, you know, the time that he spent at his desk making those out, and Jack Payne and Dave Blackwell were doing the games with him, and they would get together and have their meetings and talk, and you really couldn't get in to see him very often during the football season. And I had Mondays and Tuesdays, I believe. I worked the weekends over there, and I had Mondays and Tuesdays off. And if Nebraska lost, Monday was not the day to be at KFAB Radio, because everybody was just a little brittle on Monday if they lost. I remember that very well.
You talked to them today, and in true radio tradition, he did not agree to be on camera. No. Only the audio portion is going to be heard.
He's a little self-conscious about that, but he was. We do have some pictures of him that you can see. So let's hear what Lyell had to say on this big day.
I imagine it'll be a little painful. In what way, I don't know. It's a little bit like a death in the family. You know, when you've been married to something for 45 years and suddenly you cut the cord, it'll be a little traumatic, I'm sure, but I've never been one to look back too far, so I think I'll get along all right.
I think those of us who will be in the booth next fall, when Lyell won't be, will feel his absence just as much as the fans will.
I think that people will miss Lyell, yes, definitely. And I think Lyell's going to miss it, too, for a while, maybe for quite a while.
The second man that you saw there, Kent Pavelka, is the new Mr. Football. He's taking over in the fall from Lyell Bremser after 45 years. Right now, Kent is doing the basketball games. He's been doing them for some time for KFAB and doing a good job. And Lyell is very happy to have someone of Kent's caliber to fill in.
Any particular reason why now?
Well, what he stressed to me was that it's about time that he stopped and smelled the roses. He wants to take a little time off, take it easy, and enjoy a little bit of free time, I think. He hasn't missed a game in 45 years. That's 6 decades. So it's about time.
I'm sure there'll be big red roses, though.
Thanks for the memories, Lyell.
Yeah, thank you, Byron.
To the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home.
6 months ago, he told his associates he planned to retire. Today, he told us all. After 45 years of broadcasting, Lyell Bremser has called his final Nebraska football game.
I've been thinking about it for 2 or 3 years. We've been talking about it up here, the management people and I, and my wife and I have been talking about it. Kind of like that? Yeah. It just seemed like there's a time for everything, and this is the time for this.
1939 to 1984, a career that spans 6 decades. Lyell Bremser will now pass the microphone to his color man, Kent Pavelka.
Like I told Lyell, it's a lot like what Tom Osborne must have felt like when he took over for Bob Devaney, you know. I think it's a good analogy because while you're looking forward to doing it, you also know fully well that you're taking over from the legend.
Nebraska Athletic Director Bob Devaney is one of 10 men who have coached Husker teams while Bremser was announcing. Because of a broadcasting contract between the university and KFAB, Devaney was the first person KFAB spoke with about Bremser's retirement. Devaney tried to talk Bremser out of it.
I think that the thing that is hard for anybody else to replace is the enthusiasm that Lyell has shown.
He's going to go all the way. Johnny Rogers, man, woman, and child, he's gone.
Bremser's successor is currently broadcasting the Nebraska basketball games as part of the same KFAB package with the university. Kent Pavelka has also spent 10 years at Bremser's side doing football games. When Pavelka was a teenager, he enrolled at the Nebraska Journalism School, hoping that someday he might call the play-by-play of Big Red football.
And I wanted to do this all my life, and I guess I'm doing exactly what I always wanted to do now.
And apparently, so is Lyell Bremser.
My wife and I are going to smell a few roses.
Rick Sullivan for Action Sports.
For a ton of years. Mr. Football they call Lyell, but as you know, he retired last year behind the microphone doing Nebraska football games. So what was his schedule last Saturday and a football Saturday? Well, a golf lesson at Happy Hollow in the morning. As for Mr. Pavelka, he was getting ready for his very first broadcast.
Boy, the crowd's terrible, just like last Saturday.
2 hours before kickoff, and Kent is loose. It is now close to kickoff time. Lyell is now in his car, headed to the nursery for some shrubs, and Pavelka says, yeah, I'm ready.
Feel fine. Feel fine. It's a longer game than basketball.
And the rest was history as thousands listened to Kent do his first game.
15-yard line, third down, 12 yards to go. Full house wishbone offense, and here is Gosnell wanting to throw. Over the middle he goes. It is.
Oh, yeah, Lyell did listen from the nursery to the grocery store and back home in Omaha. Kent said he was prepared, and it went better than he thought it did. Preparation for that first game started many, many months ago, and it must have paid off because Mr. Football, Lyell Bremser, once the game was over, called...
Premier voice of Nebraska football with his distinctive delivery and colorful adjectives. Bremser ended his NU broadcast at the end of the 1983 season. He's pictured here at the Omaha Press Club when he was honored with his picture on the barroom floor. Kent Pavelka is the current voice of Husker football.
And he brought a sense of enthusiasm and excitement that reflected the game to an extent that I haven't heard anybody else equal. He was a legend in his own time, and he'll be remembered for another 50 years.
And those who worked with Bremser remember him for leadership as vice president and general manager of KFAB.
Management is always dealing with problems. And we'd be sitting around trying to figure out a particularly bad one. And the rest of the people in the room would be going around in circles trying to zero in on it, and Bremser could just put his finger right on the heart of the matter.
Every time.
Every time.
But it was Bremser's association with Nebraska football that will remain with the public. At times, his own genius seemed to enhance the play on the field.
I mean, they still, at times, run the videotape with Lyle's voice behind it of Johnny Rogers' punt return that electrified the country.
Rogers deep for Nebraska. Here's Wiley's kick. It's high. It holds up there. Rogers takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35, to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home. Holy moly. Man, woman, and child did that. Put him in the aisle. Johnny the Jet Rogers just tore them loose from their shoes.
Lyell Bremser really was a mentor for a lot of broadcasters in the state, including myself. A very exciting color commentator, a great play-by-play guy. He really is going to be missed. Nebraska football on the radio really is special when Lyell Bremser did it. He will be missed, as I said. Now, the voice of Nebraska football for over 45 years is dead at the age of 73. Lyell Bremser died in Scottsdale, Arizona this morning after a brief illness. He made the phrase, man, woman, and child, a household word in the state of Nebraska. He had the ability to convey excitement of Husker football, and he did it for 4 decades. Now, he retired from his KFAB microphone in 1983, but spent 4 more years at the station in management.